There's a fine line between gauging what sort of state somebody is in and like if they're ready to have a conversation about this sort of thing versus like the leadership aspect of moving things forward in a meaningful and productive way. The best leaders are people who can, yes, empathize with where you're at, but also help you move forward from that, take whatever the right next step is. So what I found on sales calls is that when somebody's not having a great day, like this guy said straight from the beginning, he's like, I've been betting. I think it's important to start off on the right foot and not necessarily get dragged down into whatever their day is like. Because sometimes, like, let's be real, you have a bad day and it can be really hard to pull yourself out of that. But it's a lot easier to pull yourself out of that when somebody else is able to like help you with that, right? Maybe it's opening up YouTube and you see Ed Milet video or something, right? Like it's hard to be in a bad mood. It's hard to feel bad for yourself when you see him talk. And that's just him talking. It's not even a conversation. It's not even like specific to you. So all that to say, I would start your calls with your usual process, acknowledge that he may not necessarily be having the best day, but also just have something in your back pocket to maybe shift that conversation. Like, listen, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure we'll get into some of that, but at the end of the day, just because you start with a bad day doesn't necessarily mean that it has to always be that way. And then you just move on with your process. Like, I know that we're here, you submitted your information to get some help with X and Y and Z. My role today, just to formally introduce myself, my name's Steven. My job here is to do X and Y and Z and would love to help you with that. So tell me a little bit about what's going on. And then you go into your first discovery question. That way, like, even if somebody's having a bad day, that will alone in and of itself start to like pull them out of it, start to move them forward. And it doesn't mean that you ignore the fact that they're having a bad day, to be clear. It just means that maybe you don't focus on that right away.